Hello, and welcome to the Human Being 101 podcast. I'm Kathleen Schaefer, and this is Conversations with Kathleen, where we discuss how to live the mission of the Human Being Store: better people, better work, better world. At HBS, our work is based on a new way of leading in our careers and our lives, and this podcast focuses on how to do this through the lens of current events. And wow, what a week it has been. We have gone from reading about the coronavirus and the spread of it as being something that has happened to small groups of people throughout our country and larger groups throughout the world, to really have becoming what is, in my terms, not just a pandemic, but it's a quickly unfolding natural disaster here within the United States. And in this, and how we approach many things here at the Human Being Store, we see it as an opportunity for us to learn and connect into our leadership, to be able to make mindful, clear choices moving forward, especially with the new reality of remote work, and that it allows us to find new meaning and new ways of strengthening our connections as communities, both those communities in which we live, and of course in terms of our national community and our participation as citizens in the world and what all of this means for it. So today we're going to start right where everybody is. And that is that, the wave has hit. Our world has changed dramatically as people have been moved to remote work, as schools have been canceled throughout the country. And that the first step in leadership is when you are in the middle of a disaster, when you're in the middle of a challenge, that I sometimes say, when the wave is hit, what you need to do is to swim. And you begin swimming by connecting to the best of yourself and trusting yourself that you can take the next best step, or to make that stroke, and to know which way to go. And the only way that people are able to get there is by getting quiet, getting centered, and connecting to the best of themselves. At the Human Being Store, we talk a lot about flipping the narrative from the way most people live. A lot of people live by looking externally, that they look to the conditions in the outside world, and they work individually or in their organizations to protect themselves from bad things happening. The challenge that we have, and coronavirus is showing us this, is that if the state of our being, if our sense of security, our sense of efficacy in the world is based on being able to control external circumstances or protect ourselves from external circumstances, then we're going to have a tough time, because we are living in a time and a place, and perhaps always, where you can't control external circumstances. Sometimes there was the illusion that you could do that. You can save money, although look at what's happened with the stock market. People who have diligently saved and invested money have seen, tens of thousands of dollars in losses this week. You think you can protect yourself from, decisions people make overseas. Again, that isn't happening when you've got a virus that can spread throughout a population. Other indices in the economy and whatnot. If you're going to base your sense of security on being able to control or protect things from the outside from impacting you, then you are always going to be in a place of weakness, because you can't do that. So at the Human Being Store, the first thing that we do is we flip that narrative, and we move from this idea of just simply protecting myself or my organizations from bad things happening to getting connected to the parts of ourselves, to our leadership, that are ever present, regardless of what is going out in the world. And when we connect into our gift, when we know that we have something unique to offer, when it feels good to connect to that, we begin to understand that we create our own security and that we are secure in our ability to navigate through life. And that includes navigating through tough circumstances. Now, oftentimes we wait until moments of crisis hit in order to be able to get to those places of calm and clarity. For many people, it comes after feeling quite tense or scared or afraid and finally hitting a point at which we decide that we've got a choice. We can go on feeling victimized, feeling vulnerable, feeling weak, or we can choose to know and understand that we will get through this. And the more that individuals can grab hold of that based on the best of who they are and the knowledge and awareness that people want to engage with what they have to offer in the best possible way, that it begins to orient us differently. So one of the first things that is going to start to unfold as we move into this new reality here for some next period of time of people working remotely, this idea of being able to root into being able to securely navigate in life is going to help you, because everyone is going to feel unmoored by what it means to work remotely. And, again, in conversations I've had with clients and others this week, there's a sense that, this is going to be easy because we're all used to being on screens and being electronic and people work from home. And while I agree that, probably today more than ever, people are leaning in this direction, however, I believe that this is going to take a greater toll on organizations that are not consistently supporting their employees, their organization, in continual learning and evolution. Again, the clients that we work with here at the Human Being Store, that's why they've chosen to work with us, is because they believe fundamentally that supporting their employees, their team members, in this process of constantly learning about themselves, how to be more effective as leaders, and how to evolve as an organization and group through challenges so that they can really adapt to changes in the world, becoming more stable, that most organizations don't orient themselves this way. So, employees who we know are at all-time levels of fear and anxiety about operating in the workplace as, we have known it up until this week, because they're afraid of their, boss. They don't want to express certain things to their colleagues. They don't know where they stand in terms of moving forward. They don't really feel engaged by the work. They feel misaligned, with their leadership and what it is that they're doing. If you take the fact that so many employees already feel like that when everybody's showing up in a stable work environment, then what do you think is going to happen when all of a sudden everyone is forced into working remotely, not being sure what other people are doing, lack of clarity around roles, responsibilities, how all of this is rolling out, and overlaid with everything else that's going on in terms of the stressors that people are feeling, from the coronavirus, in terms of just being able to navigate through the day. Of course, one of the biggest being that many people in the workforce are now going to contend with also being at home with their children whose schools have closed, in addition to working. So this moment of remote work is really speaking to this need for individuals, for organizations to do this perhaps on behalf of individuals, to continue the learning about who they are, how to be at their best, how to navigate through challenges. And all of that happens first as an individual. Individuals need to really know and understand who they are as leaders, to feel comfortable in expressing that, and to be able to show up with their colleagues in a sincere, honest way and talk through again, these adaptations and these challenges. That happens when they're supported in learning and evolving. And with that, I believe remote workers can and will thrive in this, but it is going to take some support, some scaffolding for them to be able to do that. And we'll talk about at the end of the podcast today opportunities that we're going to make available to people to do just that. So now you've got individuals that are needing to really, to root in and to get clear about their own ability to be able to navigate through whatever is happening in the world as a way to be clear and calm. We know and understand that as individuals and organizations are supporting and being supported in learning and growing through this process and doing it in a way that supports better work with their colleagues, it will give us then this opportunity to figure out and evaluate the systems that are being stressed in times like this, and how we as organizations can come forward with solutions and adaptations and new ideas about ways that we can serve our communities. Said another way is that if our only goal at this moment is to have an organization that's going to make money and survive, it's going to be a pretty tough time. Because what's being called for in our world isn't about survival, it's about service. And at the Human Being Store, that's what we're about. We're about anchoring and using as our true north service to others. That doesn't mean that, we don't want people to thrive, economically. Of course we do. That is all a part of how our world works. And at moments like this, what we see is that when the attention is put just on survival, when it's, put just on what does this mean for me now, that we don't come up with the solutions. We don't have the leadership direction to actually do what it takes to get ahead of these issues and to address these issues. I've mentioned this many times in conversations, but in 2016, there were a group of researchers that were advocating for developing a vaccine to COVID-19, and that funding was denied. At the time, who needed a vaccine for this? But of course, this is what we're seeing. Some of these things that are about, short-term gain, that survival, well, I'm going to do this money now or spend this money now or not spend this money, instead of the idea of long-term service and doing it in a way that's balanced with everyone's needs, isn't going to work for us. So this is an opportunity for organizations that haven't at this moment really truly embraced the idea of how their organization, how what they're doing is in service to the community and in service to its employees and the people that are working toward its mission. Again, the better people, better work, better world works both ways. And that as organizations, I see them as critically important as all of us navigate through this, because this is a way that so many of us are connected to our community, is through the organizations where we work. So my call to action this week is to encourage everyone everyone who is interested in leading and succeeding through remote work, to come to one of our 2 free group sessions where we will talk in much more depth and allow people to ask all the questions that they want about how they can connect into their leadership and use what is happening in the world right now as a way to grow and learn, to lead and succeed through this. So we're going to be offering 2 sessions, one on Tuesday, the 17th and Thursday the 19th. There's information at the bottom of this email for you to take a look at, and you can always reach out to us at hello@humanbeingstore.com, and we will get the information to you. We want to offer this to people who are wanting this information and who are looking for ways that they can take what is happening in the world right now and make the best of it. That's who we are at the Human Being Store. Better people, better work, better world. And we remain optimistic that everything that we're going through is going to provide an opportunity for us to learn and grow through that. Thank you for listening this week, and we hope to see you at one of the sessions.